Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Uncharted Brutal Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Chapter 3, A Surprising Find. So this is a mission where we're going to be going into a German U-boat, and we're also going to be doing some platforming to get to it. And it's the point of the game where I really realised just how far the platforming has come in the later games, because I fell a few times on this doing swinging, grabbing, jumping, all the basic components of an Uncharted game, and Nathan just kind of didn't grab. And I can appreciate it when it's my fault, and a lot of the games have this, but I think this one is the game where I got, shall we say, slightly miffed the most. I growled a few times, audibly, because I know what I wanted to do, I know what I tried to do, and I know what I got, and they were two different things. And a lot of the times, you know, it's easy to blame a game when it's your fault, but it's also very valid that you blame the game when it's its fault. And in a couple of these scenarios coming up, I had more difficulty with the stupid platforming than I did with the gunfights, and that's not how it ever should be. But then again, maybe I just suck at platformers, even though I had the N64, which is arguably one of the king consoles for platformers back in the heyday, and I played all of them to a decent level of success considering I was a dumb kid. You know, so I don't think my platforming skills are all that bad. I've got quite the legacy of them, and I just think that this game it works in a very specific way, and I'm used to playing more advanced Uncharted's, which just kind of made it work better. But it has to be said, guys, I think it's 2007 when this game came out. That's a year after God Hand, and I find it baffling. Like, you know, when you think that BioShock came out at that year as well, we had some games that were so ahead of their time. I'm not going to show you any of the submarine, by the way, guys. It's this weird, like, Resident Evil fixed perspective narrative moment, and nothing happens. So instead, welcome to 2 Bullet Hell City. You get shot twice, you are done, son. Punch this guy, he's a bad man. And then run around this corner to get your checkpoint. Looked easy, didn't it? I died about 4 times there because it was not that easy. But the good news is, it's not as bullshit as those moments in 2, and it's not as bullshit as those moments in 3. But we're here, guys. It's time to fight, finally. So shoot that guy in the head. Go into cover. 2 dudes are going to rush you. The blind fire on this game is useful, but it's not that great. It's kind of halfway as good as it was in some of the other games. Like, it's still good, but there are moments where you're just like, come on, Nathan, please. But there's your first fight. My God, is it a fun one. The fights from now on are all going to be good, guys, because you've got to be on the ball or you're going to die. And that's what I love about this game. So there's an AK-47 here, and I'm going to use it first, because I think it's a piece of shit. And I'm using it because I'm saving the pistol. The pistol is my go-to weapon. I can do any room in this game with that handgun. Give me enough bullets, I can do anything. The AK, not so much. But did you see it? Every bullet made him dance. He couldn't do a thing. You can stun lock with your bullets. It's so fair. Even when you're getting murdered instantly from that kind of range with 1 bullet when you're behind cover. But it's really fair. And you've got Elena with you, and she can help, she can kill. She can also die, which I found out on Chapter 13, which I think, is it called Sanctuary, that level? A lot of people remember that level. You're going to like the guide when we get there, trust me, guys. Ooh, that's not so good. Very close to death. But, essentially, I use the AK-47 because it's inaccurate, it's not very damaging, it's the most demasculating weapon I've ever used, and admittedly right now I'm not really doing good service with it. I'm not hitting this guy, but it doesn't matter because even if I was, it would have the same effect. It's literally like firing blanks. The worst kind of unit at the sperm bank, but now that we've put him down, as you push forward towards these central pillars, it's going to spawn more people, and there's not a lot of cover here, hence the crossfade, hence the weird positioning of my guy. So this guy killed me, so be very careful here, guys. But did you see it? Every shot makes that guy rethink his life, and every time he decides to try and kill me, I shoot him again. And because I know he's always going to try and kill me, I don't hesitate. There's also another dude here, be careful. But that was a great example of an AK-47 headshot, and the gun can kill people with 1 bullet headshots, but it is so inaccurate even if you've got your reticle on people that you will oftentimes miss. It really is the most miserable gun to use in the game. The pistol is so good. The pistol's going to put hair on your chest, it's going to give you those sideburns you're trying to grow but you just can't. I swear to God, it's like a Tom Selleck moustache. It's about as manly as it gets. But once you backtrack here, Every sequence is going to have enemies now. Every area we've been through is going to have people turning up really close. That's so scary, but I don't know what he's doing. He really wanted to punch me, so he kept me alive, and I did a fancy combo on him, which gave me extra bullets, but it's only 6, which is kind of crappy. The video's a little bit dark here, but I'm assuming you can see what's happening thanks to the flares and things. It's got really good lighting, and I think that all the games as a whole have become darker because they've given the lighting a more realistic tint, so now it's more dynamic and it's less artificial. But the music can be a good way of telling when the fights end, but it can also betray you. Never more so than in this game have I thought an area was clear, I've moved forward and I've been killed, because the NPC with me has spoke, Drake has spoke, the music has stopped, and I moved forward and a dude bobbed up and shot me. It happens all the time, so I'm going to warn you right now, guys, early on, you cannot trust anything in this game. You really can't. The checkpoints are probably the only thing you can trust, because they're consistently decent. There's a couple shit ones, but for the most they're really, really good. There's a lot of balance in this game, considering it is such a very punishing difficulty. There's also a lot of bullshit, and when it happens we're going to talk about it, because two buddies of mine, a guy called Hado has a YouTube channel, he's covered this game. A guy by the name of Big Benedict, he also has covered this game. But Hado contacted the developer for one of the sequences in this game because it was broken, and it is broken, and I think anybody who's played it will agree. Bick had a tough time with it, Hado had a tough time with it, I had a tough time with it. There's another guy by the name of Surefire Tactics. He's got a walkthrough for this game that I've yet to watch, but he seems like a nice guy, he's one of my subscribers. He probably had a tough time with it. Everybody who gets to this sequence has a tough time with it, and it ain't because they're bad players, and it ain't because they got unlucky, it's because it's bad. It's badly designed, and the developer said it works as intended. And working as intended is dying before you even got a chance to do anything. That ain't intended. That is a developer that is too proud to realise they're full of shit. And if you're listening to this, Blue Point, hire me, because your fucking game testers are worthless. Fact. And if they're not, you didn't listen to them, and you didn't let them do their jobs, because I know they found this shit, I know they saw these moments, and I know they told you about it, and you chose to ignore people who knew more than you did, because you thought, in your arrogance, that you knew best, and you didn't. And this is coming from somebody that really appreciates what you did with this game, and a bunch of other players who suffered this difficulty that you designed, and I use that word very, very sarcastically, and had it working as intended. And it doesn't work, dude. It doesn't work. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, and if I come across that way, it's just my personality. I can be rather hostile, but it's not right. It's not right, and it should have been tweaked. And you've tweaked so many other things. Doesn't make any sense to me that should be the way it is. But this is a tricky moment because you don't have the best cover, so you want to use everything you can and try and push up. Look, I'm getting aggressive because I've got no bullets. I've got no choice, really. I'm going to do the square, triangle, square combo, and he countered it, which... I don't know too much about the fist fighting in this game because I've only played it twice, and I played it twice in the space of 2 days, so I'm quite the noob when it comes to Uncharted 1. But I've played a lot of these games, guys, and I've played a lot of third-person shooters, so just by having that inherent experience, I can help you get through this one. But I hate that, guys, I really do. I hate any developer that would rather delude themselves than realise that there's a problem. And it's a personality trait that a lot of people have. I've seen it in myself. And it's an ugly trait. It's one of those things that you have to really try not to do, because whenever something happens to something that we made or we create, it can be easy to be very defensive. It's a natural instinct. It's your baby. You made it. You love it. You're invested in it. But they're not. And if somebody sees something that they think is bad, they're going to say it, and of course if somebody's like, oh, you're a wanker, you suck a dick, you should die, I hope your mum burns, that's a little bit different than saying, I don't think this is quite so good, you did this a little bit wrong and this could have been nicer. One of those is just somebody ad hominem your ass off and who's probably a bad person. The other one is a criticism that you need to take on board and look at and address and see if it's valid. And that's what it's about, guys. And when you get that reaction to be just like, oh, that's how it's meant to work, that's how it's meant to be, you become somebody like DSP, where he thinks every flaw, detriment, weakness, whatever it is, he thinks it's a virtue and somehow shows character and is what makes him as good as he is and makes his channel as good as it is. When really, it's just edit your fucking videos, you moron. It's not a big thing. Everybody else does it. You're not special because you don't. You're lazy because you don't. And that's a difference. And I sounded rather aggressive, didn't I? Because this section that you're watching is pretty tricky. Coming out of this hole can be really hard because the enemies move everywhere and it's hard to see them in the grass. And they will kill you in 2 bullets and they will not even give you a strongly worded email to warn you about it. They'll just put you down. See what I mean? Look at that. Did you see him? Did you think he could shoot me from that range? Well, he could. That's this game. Welcome to you will get hit and you don't think you should because it's tricky. And the enemies are that accurate. The accuracy on the enemies in this is probably one of the highest I've ever seen in a game. And there's something interesting too that I'm going to briefly mention as this video ends. You know, in Gears of War, originally, everybody who played that game was neglecting the cover because at that point cover systems weren't as ubiquitous as they are now. They weren't a paradigm of gaming that a lot of companies use. They just didn't exist. It was a notion that people didn't know. So people wouldn't go into cover, and the whole point of Gears was the cover system. They'd put a lot of love into it, they'd put a lot of time into making it flow and work and be advantageous, and everybody that played the game wasn't using it. So you know what they did? They made the enemies like 200% more accurate when you were out of cover, to force you to go into cover. What an interesting thing that is to do, to get people to play the game how you designed it to be played. And I would love to speak to Cliffy Blazinski about more of those pieces of information, because did you know that? I didn't. I heard him talking on an interview, I think at Gamescom, or I think it might have even been like a podcast with Giant Bomb, you know, after hours, after E3 or something like that, where they were just shooting the shit, and that's what he mentioned. To get people to do it, that's what they did. And that type of stuff to me is so fascinating, because it's really interesting that that's what they would do to make that function the way it's meant to work. And AI's accuracy, something that really is really interesting to me, and it might be boring to you, so I do apologise. But that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you for watching, and you take care now.